Good evening, everyone. My name is Mackenzie Douglas, and for my discussion today, I'm going to be explaining the article by the Cleveland Clinic, How to Turn Around Your Negative Thinking. So to get started on this, first they say that negative thinking is common, which I can relate to that. I think negative way more than I probably should, and I think you guys could probably relate to the same way, but maybe not. So they say that it is rooted into our brains for survival instincts. So if something to come up negative, our first reaction is to think negative about that situation or what was said or something like that. So that is kind of crazy. I never would have thought of that. So from the Cleveland Clinic, they also stated that our brain is wired to notice those threats. So inside our brain, our brain automatically knows, oh, that was negative, so now let's think of more negative thoughts. So that's crazy. So some ways that we get stuck in this negative thinking is one, maybe habitual worry. So that reinforces itself, much like addiction. So if we get used to always having those negative thoughts, it's going to be very hard to stop those thinking of negative thoughts. So we got to get in the habit of getting out of thinking negatively. The other thing is media. So I know for my generation, that's all everyone talks about is the media. And that is true. The media has, I think, the most negative things. So the more we read about the media and what's on the media, the more negative we are going to agree. So something is negative on the media, we're going to agree to that and think negative about it, which it couldn't be negative. Also, the team from Cleveland Clinic said about 94% of the time, most of what we do worry about never happens. So if we think of something negative that we got from someone else or from the media, 94% of it didn't even happen. So we're just thinking negative because you could say everyone else is. I could say this is pretty accurate. So my first question for the class is, would you agree with 94% of the negative thoughts happening to you? So would you agree that 94% of your negative thoughts never happened? So that's a question to think about. So how to shift your thinking. First, it says to don't fight negative thoughts. Let them be there. Let them be there. They can stay, but don't get carried away in your negative thoughts. The second one is practice mindfulness. So observe your thoughts without judgment. Focus on your breath or your physical sensations and notice when thoughts distract you and gently return to your focus. The third one that the Cleveland Clinic says is to develop a habit of noticing what's right. So acknowledging good traits in others, reflect on positive outcomes, especially before bed. So if you think about those positive outcomes right before you go to bed, you're bound determined to wake up with a better attitude. No negative thoughts are gone, like it's a brand new day. So get those out of there before you go to bed. So another thing is the brain can change. So positive thinking can rewire the brain through repeated practice. The Cleveland Clinic also says that mindfulness builds new mental habits and is effective for managing anxiety, OCD, and depression. So the more positive that we think, the better we are going to be as a person, and that's what everyone needs. So the benefits of positive thinking is it increases self-acceptance and confidence. It can transform relationships and professional roles, and it also boosts overall well-being and resilience. So like I said, the more positive we think, the better you are going to be as a person. So to conclude my discussion, always remember that while negative thinking is natural, it is also manageable. So if you're struggling with that, know that there is ways out. From the beginning, do you think it is a pro or a con to our brain being wired to detect negative threats? So that's my other question. So do you think it's a pro or a con that our brain is wired to detect negative thoughts. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? And in case you missed my other question, would you agree with 94% of negative thoughts ever happening to you? And my last one is, are you willing to change your negative thoughts around? So I can't wait to hear what you all think of this. Thanks for listening. Bye.